Do the best movie trilogies of all time tier list. Best movie trilogies tier list. Oh, this one looks good. This is so tough. My brain's boiling a bit. Okay, Back to the Future. Back to the Future has a great first movie, a great second movie, and a pretty weak third movie. I put it in good. It's a good baseline. Really falls off for the third one when you think about it though. Bad Boys for Life has a solid first movie, an incredible second movie, the purest Michael Bay movie of all time, Bad Boys 2, and then the third movie's pretty shit. I'd say it's average. I've only seen Blade 1 and Blade Trinity. They, in my mind, are exactly the same movie. I think it might be shite. But I need to rewatch. Obviously, I know NL loves Blade.
There's just something about Blade, man.
I haven't seen it all, so it's not really fair for me to rate it, but I'm going to put it in either shite or average. I can't imagine it's an all-time trilogy.
Blade is not racist. He can't be racist. He's a vampire.
Captain America. All right, I need Marvel fans to weigh in here. Civil War's good, and Winter Soldier is good. I think the first Captain America movie is pretty forgettable. I'll put it in good. Dark Knight Trilogy. Batman 1, really good. Kind of kicked off a new, grittier superhero take. Innovative for the time. Liam Neeson, Ra's al Ghul, we all love it. Cillian Murphy, Scarecrow, spooky. Swear to me! Dark Knight 2, obviously all-time classic. Heath Ledger Joker inspired all of us to become Sigmas. Really, well done. The incredible opening scene with the Joker robbing the bank kicks things off into high gear, and the movie never stops. Fun, popcorn, but also add some depth to it. Well shot. Dark Knight's great. And then the third one, a real letdown for me. Thought the Catwoman part was kind of underdone. Bane was okay. Bane had a really cool scene with the football, but man, the last half of it it's like the first half was pretty good, and then the last half was pretty. I'll put it in great. I don't know if it's God tier to me. I think the third movie would have to be better to put it in the truly God tier, but I think Dark Knight obviously incredible, and I think the first one a little bit underrated. It's really good. It's like tight. It's not even that long. I think it's like a 90-minute. It's just a good. All right, this is the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly trilogy. I've only seen, I don't even know which one I've seen. I've seen one of these. I saw it with my dad. He loved it. He's got a poster of it. It's probably great. I can't even rate it. I'm not gonna rate it. I haven't seen all three. I've seen one. I barely remember it. It's probably very well done. Considered the all-time classic Western, but I haven't seen it, so I can't rate it. The Godfather trilogy. So the Godfather trilogy, number 1 and 2 are considered perfect films, essentially masterpieces. Godfather 2 is considered one of the very few sequels that beats the original in every way. Pacino's performance, incredible. 3 is pretty shit though. 3 is a huge step down in quality from the first 2. So it's probably great for me. Probably great. I read the Godfather book. It was like one of the first, maybe more serious books I ever read. And it was really good, but it's funny. The one part that stuck with me all these years is that in the movie, they don't talk about this, but in the book, they make this big deal about how one of the Godfather's sons has a gigantic dick. It's such a big plot point in the book, how he just has this massive hog, and how he can't find a woman who has the right size vagina for his massive hog. And finally he does find the right woman, and they're it's such a big plot point. I thought it was so odd. And then, spoiler alert, he dies. So it wasn't building to anything. Outside of that, I'll say it's great. Obviously, they're great movies. Iron Man, I think this trilogy is pretty average. I know this could piss off some Zoomers who have Iron Man posters up. And I like Iron Man 2 more than most. I actually like Iron Man 2 more than Iron Man 1, which is not common, but I think Sam Rockwell steals the show in Iron Man 2. He's so funny. It makes the movie a little campier, but just very watchable. Plus, Elon Musk is in it, my goat. And then the third movie's terrible. And the third movie has, I think, like a 40-minute scene at the end where it's just CGI robot suits fighting other CGI robot suits. And it's not even exciting in a groundbreaking Transformers tech way. It's so boring. It's so 1 and 2, but I think it's average. John Wick trilogy. I'd put it here, but you'd think I'd be pandering, so I might put it down into great. I actually think John Wick trilogy did everything they wanted to do. It's not like it's Oscar worthy all time, but for what they were setting out to do, they didn't mess up. They just did it. They did it. Maybe the only thing is I think I like 4 more than 3. I do think 3 is a bit of a step down. Maybe I'll put it in great. But if it's 1, 2, and 4, I just think I got exactly what I expected. And I wasn't disappointed at all. In fact, I was often pleasantly surprised at all different parts in the movie in 3 different movies. That's hard to do because you'd think it would get old, but it didn't. They kept it fresh enough. I don't know. I'm impressed. It's probably great. I'll put it here. I don't think it's better than The Godfather. It's tough to say. I'll put it here for now. Lord of the Rings, Shite. Just trying to get canceled. No, S tier, obviously. That's not even, it's a stupid question. It's obviously the best trilogy that is on this list. Yeah, very, very fun to watch, eminently rewatchable, super well crafted with love to the source material. Actors and actresses all do a great job. It doesn't have like CGI that aged really poorly. I don't know, it's a very awesome, timeless, well-made, faithful adaptation to a great piece of material. It's really good, but it's not as good as The Hobbit, the greatest adaptation. Put this in the bottom of shite, dude. I hate The Hobbit, dude. Actively think it's so bad. It's not average. I think it's actually bad. And I think because of how good this is, makes this look worse. Like if I watch this first, I'd be like, I guess it's average. But then once I've seen what they could do, it's like, damn, what the fuck? Yeah, I hate The Hobbit. The Hobbit scene when they're going down the river, the dwarves, and they're popping in and out of the barrels. I watched that in the theater and I was like, my eyes were welling up with tears at the end of art. I felt like I was in Vietnam and the last chopper was taking off and I was stuck in the bush. A tear rolled down my chin and I'm holding my dying comrade and the chopper's taking off and I'm stuck. I hated that scene. Mad Max trilogy, haven't seen it, but Mel Gibson's a good guy, so probably S tier. Matrix trilogy, ooh, it's a tough one. The first Matrix movie is so peak. And then as a Matrix fan, I liked the other two. However, each one is probably worse than the last significantly. But again, I love all three, so it's tough. The real fucked up thing, if you guys don't know, is the first Matrix movie is a surprise hit. It's like they made it not thinking it would do well. It does incredibly well. It takes the country by storm, huge hit. To capitalize on it, they got enough budget to film the second and third movie at the same time, which is incredibly rushed and a bad idea. So they filmed 2 and 3 back to back in like one, 9-month, year-long span or whatever. It f***ed the vibe up. They can't add the depth that they probably would need to get to where the first one is. I think I'll put it in great. I think it's still such an awesome trilogy and it does have a complete story. I mean, if you watch the third Matrix movie, my dad, I think, fell asleep. He took me to see it. My little brother, we begged him to take us. My dad fell asleep because the third act of that movie is like I'm not kidding, 50-minute fight where CGI Hugo Weaving punches CGI Keanu Reeves. They fly a million miles apart. It makes a big Dragon Ball Z explosion, and then they walk back and do it again. They do it over and over again. And again, when I watched it at the time, I'm enraptured. I'm like, I can't take my eyes off the screen. I'm like, this is so peak. But if I'm just trying to be honest, it's not quite as awesome as the first one where they really had a awesome contained story. I'll put it in great, but for me personally, an impact, it might be up here, but I think it's great. Men in Black trilogy, average. First one is a really great movie. I'll say it. I think the first Men in Black is actually a peak Will Smith movie, a peak family action adventure movie. Doesn't get much better than that. It's funny. It's got a new world. The banter between these two is great. Yeah, it's excellent. The villain is really good. Sugar, water. It's like he was wearing an Edgar suit. Second movie is a classic sequel where it's like, here we go again. And they say like the lines from the first one second movie is trash. And then the third movie was just kind of boring. And then I also watched the other ones, the reboots. They're pretty bad too. So I'll put this average only because of the first one. Planet of the Apes trilogy. Here's the thing. I think all of these movies are like pretty solid and decent. I can't tell them apart. As far as I'm concerned, I watch a new one of these every 3 years and it's telling me basically the same story. It feels like they just reboot it every time. It's always the apes and the humans fighting and the human. Yeah, I get it. I don't understand how it's like continuing. It's good. Maybe if you really like these, they're great. I don't have a problem. I've never disliked it when I'm watching it, but I don't look back and go, I see the clear progression of the story. It's all the same movie. Spider-Man. Ooh! I'm gonna take a bold take here and say it's better than The Godfather. Spider-Man 1 and 2 are the ultimate superhero movies. They're very well done. They're very well done. They're very, very fun. They're campy. They got great villains. They're fun and memorable, good lines. They kicked off superhero movies as a genre. They're awesome. The first 2 movies I have no notes on. What's the problem with them? They're great. The third one, it's tough to love. The third one is bad on so many levels. It's hard to pack it in. Not just the obvious stuff like emo Peter or whatever. The core problem of the third movie is that like it's got villain fatigue. Any one of those villains could have been a whole movie and they could have fleshed it out, but instead they try to do like 4 of them at once. It's cluttered. It's just too much. It's too much. And also, sorry, but what's his name again? The guy that got to play Eddie Brock? Topher Grace. Topher Grace is a terrible Venom. Topher Grace is an awful, awful Venom. Like they had to constantly show his face. So every time you see Venom, it's like, ah, and then they peel back the thing so Topher Grace can be like, hey, Peter. It's so stupid. Why is his face constantly peeling back so you can see his Topher Grace face? It's honestly stupid. It's the third movie, there's no real defense, but you can find it fun, obviously. It's fun, it's campy, but it's bad. I'll put it here. It's the same problem as The Godfather with a bad third movie. They have the same problem, and I'm gonna put them in the same spot. Star Wars trilogy. The first one, that's a God tier trilogy. I'll be too revisionist to try and fuck around and move Star Wars trilogy. Obviously, it's done so much. It's inspired so many other films, created a multi-decade legacy. It's an incredible start to finish journey. Yeah, it's excellent. And it's largely because George Lucas does not get to have carte blanche. He wasn't famous yet, and they could tell him no. And so they actually got a good set of films out of it. It's fun, it's memorable, it's influenced my childhood. It made so many spin-offs and games and everything that I've enjoyed. It's a God tier trilogy, obviously. If it's not a God tier trilogy, then nothing is. The prequel trilogy, I like it so much because it's my childhood, but it is so poorly written. I rewatched the 5th movie of Star Wars not that long ago, maybe a year and a half or something. I just randomly watched it. There's a part where Han and Leia are like talking in a hallway in the ice planet Hoth. And there's like a crackling chemistry, you know? There's a little bit of a will they, won't they? The dialogue is kind of sharp. And it's like, wow, this doesn't exist at all in the prequel. Not at all. There's no, like, if you watch that scene and then watch Anakin and Padme on Naboo try to flirt, it is such a fall off. It's such a generational fall off in quality. So I have to put this in good, even though I really love it. And I do think it's very original. All the Trade Federation and the droids and the Gungans and the droidicas and pod racing and Mace Windu Purple Saber and Jango Fett and all that stuff is badass. Like they have so much cool stuff. The Geonosian, he invented a lot of cool things, but the minute to minute dialogue is so bad. This trilogy is absolute shite. It's shite on every level. The first movie is such a rehash. The second movie is a different director who hated the first director in the first movie. So like they have no connection at all. This entire movie is undoing the first one. And then the third movie is undoing the second one. So it's like actively contentious. And that's on top of like also bad dialogue, also CGI is going to age worse than the first movies. Somehow Palpatine returned. So many things are like, oh my God, is that the Millennium Falcon on this random planet we happen to be on? Is that Chewbacca? Is that the lightsaber from the first one? It's so callbacky, and is that Han Solo? And he's like dragged out there, old as shit, doesn't care. Harrison Ford cashing a paycheck during the scene. He's literally on his phone in the scene cashing the paycheck. The worst scene of all though. This scene is so insulting to the audience. Just this random spot she happened to stop lines up with the wreckage of a thing. It's a 20 million year old dagger. This thing crashed within the last 8 years, and it lines up to where she's standing on the beach, and it's so stupid. If she was walking 5 feet to the left, it wouldn't even. Thor trilogy. Average, maybe. I mean, I like Ragnarok. Love and Thunder was pretty bad. These first two are kind of forgettable, boring. I got a little crush on Natalie Portman, so I guess I like them for that reason. Ragnarok is the only one that's actually like a good movie. Toy Story, pretty peak. Toy Story 1 and 2, pretty damn good. And 3, everyone really likes 3. I don't like 3 as much, but I don't have a real reason for it. I think it's still really good. Maybe great, but very well done. They don't need 4 or 5, bro. They should have stopped here, but I love Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 is a great sequel. It's one of the best sequels I've ever seen. And I don't think 3 falls off enough to be a downer. I might put this in God tier. This is a great animated trilogy. Oh, what about Pirates of the Caribbean? Where's Pirates on here? I would put Pirates in great, but like near here. The problem with Pirates is that, and I hate to say this because everyone always cancels me, okay? But I'll be the warrior for truth. The third Pirates movie is not good. It has 2 incredible scenes, and they happen to be at the beginning and the end. So everybody remembers the movie as so good. It's an incredible ending. And so you just remember, oh, that was good. But actually, it's slop. It's actually sloppy slop, toppy slop. The first movie's so much better. Pirates 1's a perfect movie. Pirates 1 is a perfect family action movie. No notes, change nothing. Pirates 3 is significantly worse. And 2 is pretty good too. I like the Liar's Dice team in 2. So I'd put it in great. X-Men Trilogy. X-Men Trilogy. We watched this. We should watch X-Men 2. X-Men 1 was pretty fun. X2 is better in my memory. I have to watch it again. But I think X3 was pretty bad. And the first 2 aren't great enough to pull this up. I think I put this at the bottom of good. Maybe even average, if I'm being for real. Like, it's probably Bad Boys level. I think this is more of a fair take to put it here. Average. And if Pirates is here, this is a pretty good list. I feel like I've actually clutched this list so hard. I feel like this list is like one of the best tier lists I've ever made. I've nailed it. Kung Fu Panda trilogy. As far as I know, Kung Fu Panda heads will tell you it's a great trilogy. I'd probably put it in great. I've seen it, but I'm not a good rater on Kung Fu Panda. Here's a question. The Shrek trilogy or the Kung Fu Panda trilogy? Which one is good? Which one is great? They can't both be. Which one is good? Which one is great? Damn, pretty split. I would pick Shrek, but I don't think I'm a good judge. I'm not a Kung Fu Panda lover. And I think you have to be to truly appreciate. Like, Ari loves Kung Fu Panda, and she'd probably tell you. Let me ask her, actually. All right, babe.
Yes.
We are rating trilogies. I'm not an expert on...
The Hobbit?
I put The Hobbit in the bottom because I hate it.
Oh, the trilogy does suck.
But I want to ask you about Kung Fu Panda versus Shrek.
It's not a trilogy.
Talk about the first 3. Do you think Kung Fu Panda first 3 is better than Shrek first 3? Which one would you rate higher?
How come you didn't ask about How to Train Your Dragon?
Because I'll ask the Zoomers about that.
But it's like the same thing. It's DreamWorks trilogy.
Babe, I know that you're a Kung Fu Panda knower. So I
would
need...
still push Shrek.
Shrek 1 to 3 is better than Kung Fu Panda 1 to 3.
Yeah. Because Shrek 2 is so good.
There it is. There it is, folks. Shrek 2 is so far above any of the other 5 movies. Yeah, because of Shrek 2.
It's like an opinion.
It's a fact. Once you've said it, you've locked it in. All right. Well, that settles it, folks. Shrek makes it to great, while Kung Fu Panda is stuck at good. What about Die Hard trilogy? Damn, there's so many trilogies that are not on here, and this is bad tier list. Die Hard trilogy, first one's peak, second one is weak, and the third one is sleek. Does that answer your question? Dude, I wish you could just watch full copyrighted movies on stream. I would love to watch some of these trilogies with chat, dude. It'd be so fun to just boot up the Matrix or something and watch Twilight. Twilight. Once we're ranking Twilight, we're done. This is like, we already got the good ones. I don't need to add Twilight or Ted. We don't need the Ted trilogy.